Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome back. We've been traveling the world. And Kaustubha, myself, Mara, we've all been overseas, trekking around. Kaustubha's been very prolific in leading a course, an online course. And me and Mara were in India and Nepal, and we just landed yesterday. And you know what? I really miss doing the program every day. I really was a little bit lonesome for this community. I mean, we had the great community. Matter of fact, a lot of the people that were with us in Nepal were from Wisdom of the Sages as well. But truthfully, I missed having the show every morning. We just had lousy internet connections everywhere we went, and it was a blessing, and it was a curse for the Wisdom of the Sages community because I missed everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back,
What about you, Kaustubha? What was life like without Wisdom of the Sages?
You know, the first week when I was in London, it was a very busy week. You know,
right.
I wasn't leading an online course exactly. I was recording a course that will eventually be posted online. And so it was basically, you know, I spent the month leading up to it, like scripting it, nonstop, like 7-8 hours a day.
You were on a marathon.
Yeah, and then I took a red eye over there, and then I got into it, and then I was recording it, and you know, like recording 9 lessons in a day. You know, it's like each one takes about an hour. You just go nonstop.
Right.
And so then that was a few days of that, and then I had a really great time. But all that being that being said, I don't want to sound ungrateful. I was with great people. They're doing great stuff, and it was just taxing. And then you got to do a photo shoot, you know, like I'm a model or something like that. Yeah.
Was it like London. A runway type of like?
It felt like that sometimes. Like they had me, you know, on Oxford Street in London, like in that middle, like in between the 2 lanes of traffic, like walking like I'm on the catwalk. And
it seems like right up your alley, Kaustubha. Play, make love to the camera. I could see exactly. You like.
And so, but then that evening I went to Bhaktivedanta Manor, which I haven't been to Bhaktivedanta Manor in like, I think over 20 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really gained an appreciation for all that the devotees do in London. They're like massive, like they were super organized and everything, you know? And so spent some time in Prabhupada's rooms there at the manor. What an experience that is, you know? It's like you really feel Srila Prabhupada's presence there. There's so much history at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. And then Satyananda Maharaj did a kirtan that evening, and which was just really great, you know, hundreds of people. I don't know, maybe 300 or 400 people there, something like that. And I met a lot of Wisdom of the Sages people there, Zoomers, others. It was great.
That's great. I love going other places and meeting Zoomers, others, and Zothers.
Yes.
And I missed the whole live community, but a bunch of people who were in Nepal with me are here live, like Jai Subhadra here.
Oh, great.
And yeah, if you want to join us on Zoom, you can do that. If you're listening on Facebook for the first time, we do this every day. We took our longest break ever, but we basically do this every day. You just got to email Mara, our producer, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and she'll send you the secret codes to get into our chamber. We're gonna do it. We do the weekends at 8:00, and we're doing the weekdays 6 a.m. So that's
6 a.m.
the new
Back to
time,
6. Okay.
right? Eastern time. Yeah.
And we got Mara back here too. But Mara, how was your experience?
It was incredible. I loved it.
All right.
Nepal was amazing. India was amazing. I mean, 4 days in India, we packed so much stuff in. I felt like I could have flown home after those 4 days and felt completely fulfilled. But
Maybe you guys should have. No. And then you went to Nepal.
Yeah, it was my first time in Nepal, and it was just incredible.
Okay. Awesome.
Nepal is incredible. It's everyone's devotee practically. They all love kirtan. They all are devotional. They're like, it's a very meek, loving culture. And I just feel like, truthfully, I think and they make their money from tourism. That's how they survive. So the pandemic's really crushed them financially, the people. And I feel like we sort of just like barged over there since like 1950 and said, okay, this is what you guys are good for. We're into trekking. We want to climb and we want to conquer. We want to conquer your mountains, and we want you to assist us and carry our crap. And this is what we're going to need. We're going to need liquor because after we hike, we like beer. And we're going to need this type of food. And this is the cool clothing we wear. And this is and so we've created have you ever been to Costa Rica, Costuba? Or like, it's just,
no.
It's become like sort of an expat land for California surfers who just sort of like purchased the beaches and then like imported California surf culture with all its good and miserable things that go with that to the beaches. And so it's sort of like we're expert at exporting culture. And so I feel like we've done that to Nepal in a lot of ways. But it was nice to go there. And although we were trekking also, it was minimal trekking. We weren't like climbing Everest and ice, Mara didn't have an ice pick and like spikes on her boots or anything. We were just trekking through the mountains with these beautiful backdrop of the Himalayas. And then it was amazing because we got to live in this do this kirtan in the morning and the evening, and all the other Sherpas that were with us or with other groups also would come around and sit, and they just sit and enjoy. We'd do Ram Katha, talk about Lord Ram, talk about Lord Krishna, and they would just like light up. And then they would hear the kirtan and they would just light up, and you could see that, and that the desire to want to give, love, and serve, which is all the essence of bhakti, which I have to really work hard for, because I grew up in a culture where it's me first. What can I get? What can I, how can I, manipulate the material energy so I can be fulfilled? And it's just an attitude of love and service and kindness. And I tell you, they all loved kirtan. So I really feel like it was truthfully a contribution in not cultural what do they call that now? Cultural appropriation was like deep cultural appreciation. And I feel like it was exchange and appreciated as well.
How did they feel about it?
I feel as well. I feel like they really enjoyed it. I feel like they came around, left their groups and sat with us, and also other pilgrims, because there's a lot of Nepalese who just go trekking also, because we've exported that world, and they've come, they just sat with us and really just like enjoyed it. It was very, very beautiful to witness.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
There's two announcements that we should make. One is that today, at 11:30, from 11:30 to 1, there's Urban Devi, for the ladies. Yeah, Urban
Online,
Devi.
You're saying?
It's online. You can go to the Bhakti Center's website and go to their online section and find your link for that. But that's like a Zoom meeting for ladies. But, Urban Devi's headed up by Rukmini Devi, who we've had on the show before, and she's so awesome and everything like that. And so the guest speaker today is named Saradiya Rasa Devi Dasi. And the topic, you ready for this? I think this would interest you, Raghunath, although I don't think you're allowed in. It's called The Witch. Yeah.
I identify as a Mataji today.
Well, I don't know if they're going to buy that. But it's called The Witch and the Wise Woman. and the description is the witch in the wise woman. It says women with mystical powers, magical abilities, or profound wisdom often move beyond social norms. They may be respected and honored or feared and ostracized. Not all women with magic are evil. Neither are all with power good. What makes a woman wise, and what makes her a witch? Join us to unveil the mysteries of witch and wise women archetypes.
I got a question. Does this mean there's witches on one side and wise women on the other, or the witch and the wise is one person?
I'm just reading it.
You're just reading it.
But in any case, it says, join us to unveil the mysteries of witch and wise woman archetypes through the story in which Putana plans to poison Krishna. So he's got a sweet baby Krishna element mixed into it too.
What do you think? What do you think Mara is? A witch or a wise woman?
She's a wise woman, no question about it. Although you referred to her as a witch not long ago.
Did I?
Right? Didn't?
No, I referred to her. What did I refer to you? Some animal.
Her laughing or something like that.
Oh yeah, she had a cackle.
Oh yeah, that's what you did say. Yep.
Okay. So in any case, that's
there have
today.
been many animals you've referred to.
There's been many.
Okay. So in any case, that Urban Davy. Ladies, if you have the opportunity, please check out Urban Davy today at 11:30 till 1, and you go to the Bhakti Center's website to find that Urban Davy. And you know what the other thing is, Raghunath? Is on April 3rd, there's this maha yagna going on. Are you aware of this?
Someone Instagram me something.
Okay, we need to bring Satchidananda Maharaj on the show for if Walk on Wednesday is open on Wednesday, and if not, we got to get him here before. I think Thursday's the 3rd. But on the 3rd, this is for the people of Ukraine. And they're doing 3 Narasimha pujas, 3 pujas to Lord Nrsingadev, the protector, right? The protector of the devotees. The first one is each one is at dusk, because that's when Lord Nrsingadev appears. So the first one is at dusk in Ahobalam, right? In South India, where the incredible
Nrsingadev temples are.
Yeah. So the priests there, they're all into this. They're going to do it for the ISKCON community and the ISKCON devotees in Ukraine, and for all the people in Ukraine.
Don't underestimate these yagnas. They work. They're powerful.
That's the point. And so they're going to do that one first, and then when it's dusk in Germany, they're going to do to there's a powerful deity of Lord Nrsingadev there on the farm in Germany. And then they're going to do one in New Vrindavan when it's dusk there. So it's like 3, and they're going to put them all together, and you can tune in online. So we're going to share information. It's also an opportunity to donate and to try to help the people of Ukraine.
You know what? But
it's also an opportunity to pray and to take part in a prayer for their protection.
Sure. Talk about mystical, witchy type of things. This is like, if you're new to the show, this is special, elaborate rituals where they bring in their ancient rituals to help help subtle energy create change. And Mara and Rachel and Bunky and I were all in Vrindavan at Govardhan, and they were doing an all-night ritual starting at dusk. It went all night. You had to fast all day if you wanted to partake in it.
Right.
And it went on for 9 hours straight. They bring this super fine ingredients in. We have this, the most evolved tantric guy from all over India doing the rituals.
You got the most evolved tantric guy?
Yeah. He's like the number 1 tantric guy.
Okay.
That's what it says in his bio, at least.
Okay, number 1 super guy. But I heard that the priest in Germany, they're already getting ready for this. Like for like a week ahead of time, they've changed their diet, they've changed their sleep habits. They're they're doing rituals, and they want to be focused when that time comes. It's going to be powerful. So we'll get you more info on that.
Commenting. Everybody's in the know about this, but
we'll be posting more about that as we go in, and I think we should try to get Satchidananda Swami on the show.
Put it on our Instagram stories. That little flyer.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay,
great.
Now we're already 20 minutes in. Maybe we ought to go a little bit late today so we can answer some questions, because we've been doing a lot of yakking.
Maybe we should discuss that before the show starts.
No,
well, I'm okay with it.
Right.
No, I'm totally okay with it. Yeah.
Anything else to announce, Mara?
Bhakti Recovery Group meeting today at 9:30 a.m.
The Italy posse wants Italy. Last call for Italy. It's really filling up this time. We sometimes just sometimes use
we
the
just say that,
scarcity.
but not
Sometimes we
true.
just say that for the scarcity technique.
Okay.
Because Americans like there's no spaces left. But it actually is filling up. So if you're interested in Italy, go to email wotsitaly@gmail.com. wots@gmail.com. Very excited for that. That's a getaway in July.
All right. I got a question for you, Roghunath. It's question and answer day, Q&A. Ready?
Okay.
This is coming from Tina Scheid from Germany. She's a daily Zoomer.
Love
dear
her.
friend, wonderful person. She's got a question for you. She writes, Dear Roghunath, Kaustuba, and Maraji, first of all, I want to thank you again and again from the bottom of my heart for sharing all the wisdom that I was able to absorb as best I could over the last few years. I got slightly beautifully addicted early on to the show and the beautiful wisdom of the sages Sangha. And although slowly, I try to constantly apply everything you share to my life, thoughts, and behavior. A special thanks also goes to the sage group of Paramananda. Sage group, Baba, right? That's Paramananda's group.
All right, Paramananda.
She's a member of his group, who week after week pick me up exactly where we are at and effectively leads. Paramananda picks everyone up from wherever they're at and effectively leads them in a step-by-step, deeper and more honest spiritual sadhana. Nice. Is Paramananda with us today?
I don't know. I mean, it's understandable if you're not with us today. We're very, very steady, and then we've been jumping all over the place. So forgive us, local Zoomers, those who listen on Zoom.
Today?
Paramananda's here today.
85. All right,
Okay.
Paramananda. Way to go,
We have
Paramananda.
85 people. It's amazing.
She's going on. She goes on about Paramananda, a very lovely and trustful approach that I appreciate so much. I cannot find the right words to say how much you all, and this all means to me. Many thanks. Vielen Dank. And I have a question finally, and I think we have had similar questions before. It is about the psycho-oncology therapy place that 3 wonderful women and I will open soon. Okay, she's opening a new place, Roghunath.
Okay.
Tina. It's a psycho-oncology therapy place with 3 wonderful women. 4 altogether with Tina will open soon. After lots of groundwork in the last few weeks and talking to tax consultants and insurance people and so on, we finally received the keys to the new place next week, which probably meant like last week, right? My question, do you have any advice on how to set up and approach this new space from the very beginning on in order to create a somehow sacred space where clients, their relatives, and us all feel safe? Maybe even any advice like routines and prayers we could start our days there in order to step into and create a Krishna conscious state to help as best we can and to serve as best we can the clients and community that we might hopefully build in the future. Any directions and advice is, as always, highly appreciated. Many thanks. Vielen Dank. And safe travels. Tune in. Yeah, okay.
Dankeschön, Tina. Great to see you. Great question. Opening a new space. I'll go right to the Gita, which talks about bringing things to sattva guna, and of course, shuddha sattva, or pure goodness. When you walk into a place, first thing is when you walk into a place, it's very clean. That's one thing.
Keep it clean.
Clean. Also, I like incense, but the incense should not just be to make the room fragrant. The incense actually should be offered with love. And to a picture of Krishna, or a picture of how you perceive divinity, or to guru, because then you're actually, everyone who smells that is smelling prasad. If people have sometimes people have an allergy to the smoke or something like that, but I think if you light it before time in the beginning of the day before it starts, I think it should be good. Also, what you have on the wall affects the mind too. So be conscious about the pictures. And I also like to bring in earth elements. Like I like wood, I like stone in the house, or like in the office. Otherwise, nowadays they just make these things out of just such unnatural materials and carpeting and plastic fabricated wood, that's not even wood. When you bring these earth elements, fire, fresh flowers, something like that, that changes the mood and the environment. And another great thing would be have a mission statement for your group that you guys can all read together when you come in. And, I got that idea. I mean, it's a common idea, but, I see that the doctors at the Bhaktivedanta Hospital that Radhanath Swami was an inspirational force behind. Doctors all come together with the entire staff and they sing a song together. I'm not going to ask you guys to sing a song, but you could, you
do it 3 times a day, right? Morning.
You do it 3 times a day. I didn't know that. I'm new to that. I didn't know that. I saw them do it in the morning. I was like, this is incredibly impressive. How they're going to sing a song together and they give thanks to their teachers.
They read a Bhagavatam verse together
and they read a Bhagavatam. That's impressive. Yeah. All right. So, but I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not even recommending do that. But it's nice to have a mission statement of why you're there, what you're doing. And truthfully, this very question and rallying behind these efforts will bring a greater significance when you're struggling. And in the course of a work and dealing with other people, you will struggle. And this will give you the big why of why you're doing the work that you're doing. So I think it's a very important question because it makes you understand, okay, this is why I do the work I do. This is why I'm a parent. This is why I'm married. This is why I teach yoga, etc. That's my humble
That's
opinion.
Great advice. What you said right towards the end there, that really it captured my attention. Just the idea that, and this is something I've learned from Radhanath Swami, and he's probably shared this kind of thing with you too. Are you speaking, Raghu? I can't hear you. Are you muted or you're not speaking? You're just kind of, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
Okay.
I'm trying to stop a kid from talking to me in the background.
Oh, you weren't talking to me.
I muted myself and I was like trying to
ventriloquist
so you didn't think I was talking to myself.
Okay. So, but, maybe Radhanath Swami shared this kind of thing with you too, but any great project, any great offering, it always comes with challenges, particularly right up front. There's always something really hard to get over. There's always some challenge that just seems insurmountable or something like that. And that's a good sign, actually, So Tina, don't be surprised if it seems really hard in the beginning. You're like, that can be just part of the process of how things work and how it's meant to work. And a certain type of purification or alignment or understanding can develop through that'll become important for the whole thing. So since you mentioned that, it just struck me.
All right. Kostuba, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, this is from Jimmy James, the pizza maker from Boca Raton.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying there's no places in Boca Raton?
No, that's
Del Boca Vista.
Del Boca Vista, not Boca Vista.
Anyone know that reference? Okay, if you know the reference, put it on the board. Okay. I have a question on offering food to Krishna. Believe this topic has been covered before. However, I'm curious to know how a devotee run restaurant offers food to Krishna. Yeah. Being in the restaurant business for 30 plus years. Wow, that's pretty impressive. I have been trying to wrap my head around how it's done. Is there an altar set up in the restaurant for offering? Is the food prepped in batches and then offered? Right? Do you have to offer each pizza that comes out of the oven? What if the dishes are made to order? What if the cooks that are employed in the restaurant are not devotees? Does the restaurant have a position for someone that just offers food and recites prayers while ringing a bell? It's a good question. How does offering food work during peak times in a busy restaurant? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and answers to these questions. Yeah, Stuba, how do you run your restaurant?
Yeah, well, I love these first 2 questions because it's like people that have been listening to the show for a long time taking Bhakti culture and Bhakti, attitudes and bringing them into their workplace, or places, their own, places that they run themselves. That's pretty cool, right?
It's incredibly cool. What they're doing is they're hearing it. It's becoming part of them, and they're trying to how does it work now? How does it? How can you apply this stuff? All these great nuggets of wisdom are only so much fascinating pieces of information, but they actually become alive when you apply it to your life. And this is what's happening right now.
Yeah. And so, what to speak of if you run a restaurant, then you can just immediately turn it into like a powerful force of bhakti by feeding prasadam to people, because it's a fact. People don't get it. But the food that you eat makes a big difference. And when it's prasadam, that's not ordinary food. It actually changes lives, right?
Yeah, because it's got the secret ingredient of love. You're eating the love offered to Lord Vishnu. And according to the theory of the sacred literature, that it is no longer has karma.
That's right.
There's karma even with vegetarian food, even with an apple, there's karma. But it becomes akarma, meaning you get no reaction. And matter of fact, you develop a stronger attachment to Lord Vishnu. And that's sort of the magic.
Reaction. Okay. Yeah. So this is a question, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted restaurants, and he gave instructions for how to do it. And so this is what he said. He said that in the morning, the first batch that you make, like let's say you make a pizza, there's an offering made in the morning. And once you do that, then everything that you make for the day is considered prasadam. It all becomes an offering. So he said, the first batch that you make, he mentioned that you offer to Lord Caitanya. Right? He didn't say Krishna, he said Lord Caitanya, which I think may be significant. You have an altar of Lord Caitanya. Why? Why do you think, Raghunath?
He's the gatekeeper. He's the reason why we know anything in this tradition. Lord Caitanya accepts it. And Lord Caitanya is Patita Pavana. He gives mercy, and we are mercy cases. We don't know anything. It's not like your kitchen is immaculate. We're not following strict Vedic standards. Lord Caitanya gives that. He's the Kali Yuga avatar, and he gives mercy to the dented cans of Kali Yuga.
Yes. And in the worship of Lord Caitanya, he doesn't accept any offenses, right? So even if the offering's not quite right or not quite up to the highest standard, he accepts it anyway. And so what I would do is I would make a nice little altar there with Lord Caitanya or Lord Chaitanya Nityananda Gaur Nitai. And in the morning, make an offering. And it may be that every single thing that you make during the day you won't have ready in the morning. But I would try to make it like, not just like anything, but try to make it like a nice full offering. In other words, I want to please you with what we're producing here today. And so here's a nice meal. Try to, take some pizza and add some things on the side. I don't know, all the things that you have there. Make it a nice, full, beautiful offering. And you mentioned, it may be that everybody that works there isn't a devotee. That's okay. But just have them follow good standards of cleanliness. And just like Mara, walk around that place with a stick. And if anybody's talking nonsense, you don't tolerate it. She's heavy like that. You can learn from Mara. Maybe you have to visit Mara and see how she runs her kitchen. But in general, try to get people with good as best consciousness as you can, and try to elevate the consciousness in that place, maybe through music or through paintings or whatever way you can do it. Don't tolerate any real garbage kind of nonsense discussion going on in there. Try to get people that have a good heart, and then follow good cleanliness standards. And then I think best that you or another devotee offer it. I mean, it has to be you or another devotee. And then take that nice offering, offer it in the morning with full heart, and then everything that you do for the rest of the day will be considered prasadam, and you will be helping thousands of pizza eaters every day.
That was nice. I like the idea of playing kirtan all the time. Changes the whole mood.
Yeah, if the kitchen is separate, I'm not sure if you're ready to play kirtan in the restaurant all the time, but at least in the kitchen, if you can do that, that's great, right? It does change the whole mood.
It does, yeah. Okay.
Question
Good answer. What else you got?
This is from Aaron Erskine, who I met in London. It was awesome.
I met him too. Cool guy.
Yeah, I met him and Charlie together. They were both really great, as well as others. Kiko G was there, But Kiko is just like, she just shows up everywhere,
She's quite She's quite magical. A white witch herself.
She said, I think she wrote something about like she worked with a witch on the thing, on the chat board. Kiko, I worked with a certified witch. You see, she's done everything.
Oh yeah,
Kiko is a woman of mystery.
200-hour witch certification program we're starting to offer.
Okay. So Aaron writes, he says, there's a lot going on in the world right now. And as Raghu recently said, so many people who trade my bad day for theirs right now. The news and social media feeds are just chock-a-blocked with content. Is that a British thing? Chock-a-block?
Oh yeah, chock-a-blocked.
Chock-a-blocked. Some good, some not so good, and it's important to tune out. Right? It's important to tune out. He says, it got me thinking, is there room for healthy cynicism in bhakti? And if so, in what capacity? Also, are there any particular verses that we can study in this area? Great appreciation to you, as always, Prabhus. Is there room for cynicism, healthy cynicism in Bhakti, Raghunath? Tell us.
Well, when I first got into, I like the concept of yoga, mysticism, metaphysical things. And as a young man in my teens, I started reading books on yoga from not just Prabhupada, but Shivananda, and old books on yoga I'd find in like these easty, westy type of bookstores. And I was a pretty positive person, still am a pretty positive person. And I liked the yoga philosophy. I felt like very welcoming and very wide gated, like very inclusive. But I noticed every now and then you'd hear these verses that were very cynical about the material body, or cynical about pleasures of the world. The material world is a place it's a place of misery. And I was thinking, I love this stuff, but why is it so negative sometimes? And the idea is that it's not that it's negative, it's realistic. It's healthy to be cynical in material success, in the material home run. And there is no home run in the material world. It's a temporary world. It's a world of anxiety. It's a world where we lose everything that we love. This isn't just me seeing the cup half full. This is just reality. And if you don't cultivate your spiritual life, you can get very cynical at the world. You can feel, oh, this person betrayed me. This person broke my heart. This person cheated me out of money. And we keep a whole file of how the material world has hurt us. So the material world is good to be cynical of, but at the same time, we're spirit souls, and we should understand that actually everything is here to help us evolve. Everything is here to help us grow. I don't possess anybody. I'm born to give love. I'm not born to possess. And we keep those principles at the forefront of our mind and understand that everything ultimately is temporary, then it's important, I think, in our spiritual life to understand the futility of material existence and the necessity for spiritual existence. Like, it's a necessity. It's not a good thing. It's a necessity for me to understand who I am spiritually and what is actually mine. What is mine? Mine is that I've known you for many years. I've known Mara for a few years. I know, so these people who went to Nepal with me, some for a few days, and some for maybe a couple years. But my thing is, I can give them love. I can give any spiritual insight I have, and I can try to serve them. But I can't possess them. They're not mine. This podcast I can't possess the podcast. I can't possess the house I live in. I can't possess my vehicle. I have to understand what is actually investment worthy. What has return on investment, right? And what has no return on investment. The material world has no return on investment, because at any minute it can be lost. I can work for something in the material world and I can lose it all. If I work for something in devotion, that is never lost. Matter of fact, even at the loss of my life, it's carried on to my next life. If I'm working on my spiritual proclivities, my spiritual evolution, that is carried with us to our next life. There is no loss. And that's one. And so, yeah, there are a lot of verses that are very, very cynical, and it's important to be materially cynical. What do you think about that, Kastuba?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we're going to get some heavy stuff in the fourth canto. Just you wait.
You want cynicism? We got cynicism.
I was just thinking of for instance, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's that, what is it? Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. Right? These are like verses that describe how one attains knowledge, and within those verses, there's that phrase, Janma mrityu jara vyadi, birth, death, disease, and old age, right? Birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, dosh, anudarshanam. Anudarshanam means you need to be able to see the dosha, the faults in the dukkha, the suffering of of birth and death and old age and disease. There is a type of, you can call it cynicism. I mean, I guess cynicism would be defined as like, not trusting something good is going to come out or like that, you know?
It's like
You know, like it's a type
it's being
of pessimism, I guess.
perhaps critical with the material, critical with the world.
Yeah, yeah. And so that is reality. You know, like also Ishopanishad will say, you know, one needs to be able to side by side look at the spiritual and look at the material, you know, and that means being, in a sense, cynical about the material. But our cynicism is never, it always leads to, there's an optimism that balances it, right? Or there's an optimism that's the reality that's important. So it's not a cynicism that makes one hardened or bitter, but it's just a cynicism that helps one let go, you know, let go of material attachments. So yeah, I like it, Virgo.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Are you ready, sir? This is from Guranganista.
Okay.
From South America.
We're in South America.
You know what? Is he from Colombia?
Chile? Is he from Chile?
He might be from Chile, but he hangs in Colombia too, I think.
Okay.
He's a cool guy. He's a tattooist also.
Oh, there you go.
Anyone could, this is via the Discord thread. Anyone could help understanding the approach and the purpose of studying lilas versus siddhanta versus sambandha. And which one should we prioritize? Lilas are like the stories of Lord Krishna or the avatars. The siddhanta, right? The final conclusion of the Vedas, or sambandha, our relationship with the Lord.
Okay. So
What do you
he's
think?
asked, of these three, so there's lilas, siddhanta, and sambandha. Which one should we prioritize? So, you know, it's not that you prioritize one over the other, but they all work together. So again, yeah, lilas means Krishna's pastimes, and the lilas of Krishna are there in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? You can read about Krishna's whole life. There are 90 chapters full of Krishna Lila. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like the Bhagavatam is the conclusion of all of the Vedic literature. There's so much to it. It goes on and on and on and on. But it all concludes with the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Srimad Bhagavatam's highlight is the 10th canto. Now, the Bhagavatam is what is it, 18,000 verses?
History of the universe, 18,000 verses for our edification.
And it has 12 cantos. And of those 12 cantos, like the one canto, the 10th canto is like 1/4 of the whole thing. So it's like way bigger than all the other cantos. It's like, in a sense, it was all there to get us to that, right? In one sense, all the Vedic literature, the Vedas, the
like a big
Upanishads, the
build-up.
Mahabharata, yeah, it's all building up to hearing about Krishna's life, his leelas, because those leelas, not only are they educational, not only are there lessons to learn through them, but they're a focal point of meditation. And yoga it's just what yoga is all about. Yoga is about bringing our mind to a focal point, and the highest focal point, the most beautiful focal point, the most merciful and powerful, incredible, ultimate focal point is Krishna's pastimes. So siddhanta and sambandha are meant to help us focus on that focal point, help us become absorbed in that meditational focus. And so again, siddhanta is kind of a more general term in this, right? Siddhanta, it means like, you could say, what's the established conclusion? How do you understand things, you know? So we'll say like there's a Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, which means like people in our lineage, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava lineage, how do they understand the teachings of Vedanta? You know, what's their conclusion? And that means like there's a lot to that. Part of that is sambandha, right? Sambandha means relationship. Who am I in relationship to God, right? Am I God? Some people read the Vedanta and they think that. We would say that's an incorrect understanding of it's. We would call that apasiddhanta. We'd say that's opposed to the correct conclusion, right? Apasiddhanta. And we would say it's a misunderstanding of the sambandha. The sambandha means, you could say, relationship or connection. What's the nature of the connection? How am I connected to God, or what is my relationship with God? So if there are people that read Vedanta, study Vedanta, and they come to the apasiddhanta, right? The ill conclusion, ill-conceived idea that I am God, right? Or they may come to an idea that there is no God. You know, some people come to that idea, you know. So the siddhanta, coming through this lineage, coming through Vedanta, is that there's a particular relationship that we have with God. We should understand the nature of that relationship. One verse that speaks to that, very important verse from the Upanishads, Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. That Nityo Nityanam, we're eternal and God is eternal, right? Nityo, there's one eternal, and then there's Nityanam, there's many eternals. And then there's Chaitanas, Chaitananam, there's one conscious being, and then there are many conscious beings. So the many are dependent on the one. That means that it's a beautiful verse and it's so important. Like just what I'm saying, if we're talking about Sambandha, right? Sambandagana, knowledge of the nature of our relationship with God. This verse is trying to make it clear that we are dependent on God. God is the source. And we're dependent. A lot of people don't want to swallow that. A lot of people don't want to think there's anyone in the entire universe that's greater than me, right? That could, psychologically, people just may be averse to thinking that way. Upanishads would say, no, it is that way. I mean, just think about how, in one sense, how crazy that is, right? Like to think like there's now, but you see, but what it's also saying is Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanya Chaitanam. But he's eternal, we're eternal. He's conscious, we're conscious. We're made of the same energy. So that's the good news, right? Like if the bad, it's not actually bad news, but if you might feel like it's bad news that there's a superior entity that I'm dependent on forever. That might be like existentially hard to swallow for some people. But what these texts are saying is it's fine. You're eternal. You're made of that same energy of God. That's what you consist of. That's incredible, right? But just understand your connection, like a leaf to a tree, like the ray of the sun to the sun. This is called Sambandagana, trying to understand my relationship with God. If you don't understand that, then when you get to the lila, it won't make any sense, right? We need to understand who Krishna is. Therefore, whenever it comes to lila, whenever it comes to, you see, Krishna's pastimes, it's not a presentation of God as this rule maker, not even God as creator, certainly not God as judge. It's God as loving adventurer, right? It's God as most intimate friend, most intimate child, most intimate lover. That's the presentation. But that's like, in one sense, you're getting into, we call this confidential, right? It's like esoteric, it's confidential, it can be misunderstood, and therefore there has to be sambandha. Therefore there has to be siddhanta. One needs to understand who is that person, Krishna, that's running through the forest with his friends, that's secretly at night in the groves with the beautiful gopis, all these girls. If I don't have the right sambandha, if I don't understand my connection to that person, I misunderstand the entire thing. And I think either he's an ordinary person, like he's got lust like me, right? And that's what's going on in those groves, and that's what he's doing with those girls, right? No. That's not the nature of the relationship.
It justifies it. Justifies my lust.
Yeah, like I might lust after, I might wish, I wish I had all these girlfriends, but when Krishna, he doesn't look at those girls like we would look at those girls, right? They are his energy, right? It's like, I can't say that. I can't say that they're my energy. So the nature of his connection to them is very different. And so we need to understand this, and that's part of Sambandagana, and it's part of the larger siddhanta. So the great teachers, they prepare us for this. That's why you have the 9 cantos that come before the 10th canto. You could have just given us the 10th canto, but what Vyasadeva does, he prepares you so that when you finally get to that little blue boy who's running around in all these adventures, you understand who he is, and you understand who you are in relation to. Or you take like Gita Govinda, the Gita Govinda, the work of poetry, right? Very esoteric writings about Radha and Krishna and the gopis, and the intimacy of their love. It's quite graphic, it gets quite graphic.
These are things like British scholars they do a translation, but it's all out of having a tradition behind it or a contextual framework. Yeah. And therefore it's just seen as, their God is nothing like what Jesus teaches in the Bible. Theirs is
he's
some
like
philanderer.
Philanderer, yeah. And so so one might say, oh, he's a philanderer, or someone might also read those intimate descriptions and read them as if they're reading some other kind of romance literature or even like erotic romance literature, right? But do you know what precedes the Gita Govinda? What's the first part of the Gita Govinda?
No.
It's
What?
the Das Avatar Stotram.
I did not know that.
The Das Avatar Stotram is the prayers to the 10 different incarnations, right? It's a list of 10 incarnations, avatars of Krishna. He comes in this way, he comes in. So those are forms where it's just like awe and reverence. You know, it's like, my God, he came as like Lord Nrsingadev, and, you know, he was powerful, you know, and he came, and that boy, in other words, when we read about that boy that's in the forest with those girls engaged in these erotic pastimes, we should understand he's not like me. I don't come as Lord Nrsingadev. I don't come as a turtle. I don't come as a fish.
Because Stuba, I got so many squirrels for you today. If you're new to this, a squirrel is when you're walking a dog and it chases a squirrel and he takes you off the trail. I got so many squirrels I'd like to squirrel you this on.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin.
Well,
anyway,
maybe
that's a
you
good point. So maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should, because sometimes
What do you got?
the road less traveled.
Yeah.
Because Stuba, quite interesting.
But not any road. That's the thing.
Not any road. No, not any road. But squirrely roads sometimes can lead you to
Squirrely paths.
squirrely paths and pots of gold.
So did you have something to share, or you don't?
It had nothing to do with what you're talking about, but it reminded me of something. But anyway, I got a question for you. When he talks about the Das Avatars, does it get into each avatar, or is it just like a quick mention?
It's
just a song.
Yeah, that's where that song comes from. It's composed by Jayadev Goswami.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Here's my squirrel. Here's my squirrel. I had a spiritual dream. Remember we were talking about spiritual dreams the other day?
I don't
Have you
remember.
ever
It's
had
been
a
so
spiritual
long.
dream? I know it's been so long. I woke up on the plane. I was like, oh my God, I had the most spiritual dream. I had a dream. My father was sick. And I was like, Dad, how are you? And he goes, I've just been, and he had this little deity of, he had like a bunch of different deities of Prabhupada. And he's just, I've just been offering flowers to Prabhupada.
That's incredible.
And I feel so much better. And that was it. That was a dream. That was a dream. What a cool dream that was to wake up to.
Very cool, brother.
Okay.
Very cool.
On another squirrel, I listened to the entire Sadhguru interview on Joe Rogan.
Okay.
I want you to listen to it.
I want you to listen to it.
It was.
I haven't even listened to your whole interview of it.
What? You don't have 3 hours to invest in listening to me.
I think I listened to all the clips, though. Every one of the clips, for sure.
I get it.
Okay. No, I might have listened to it all. I forget. But in any case, this is the point. You know, but going back to the original question, siddhanta, sambandha, it's all just like asana and pranayama. They prepare one to go into samadhi, right, into deep meditation.
Yeah.
So similarly, you know, why do we read all this philosophy? Why do we need to understand the nature of our relationship with Krishna? Why do we need all this siddhanta and all this doctrine, all this dogma? You know, it's so that we can understand things correctly, so that when we go into meditate on that pastime, it'll become powerful, it'll become effective, it'll become transformative, it'll change our lives, it'll change our hearts, but we have to understand it correctly. So the way that Bhakti works is that through meditation on certain very powerful spiritual elements, Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, you know, Krishna's lilas, the Bhagavatam, and so on. By absorbing the mind deeply in it, we become transformed. But the effect of that transformation, it's just like an electrical current, you know. It's carried through a wire, like electricity is carried through from a power source through a wire to a light bulb, and it lights it up. But if there's any faultiness in that wire, it doesn't matter how powerful the power source is, it doesn't light the bulb, right? The bulb won't receive it. And so similarly, to receive the power of Krishna's lilas, to receive the power of Krishna's name and the transformative effect of it, we need to have the right sentiments. We need to have the right lifestyle. These all help with that flow. We also need the right conceptions.
Yeah.
And so siddhanta and sambandha, those are so that we get the right conception, so that when we go to meditate on Krishna's name, when we go to meditate on Krishna's lilas, we'll understand them, and the flow will be uninterrupted. It'll be powerful, and we will be transformed. So they're all important.
Well, alrighty.
All right.
What
I
else
got
we
another
got?
question for you. This comes from Bhakti Hugo. of
Bhakti
the U.S.
Hugo.
Navy. He's in the U.S. Navy. I guess he's stationed in Charleston, South Carolina. Ready?
Charleston.
He says, please accept my sincere appreciations and gratitude. As always, I'm thankful for the wonderful offering that you make to the world by running and developing Wisdom of the Sages. Well, thank you, Bhakti Hugo.
Did you ever eat Charleston shoes?
I did. That's
You
a
did, huh?
squirrel.
Okay, that's a squirrel.
And wishing you
Oh, that's-
all auspiciousness and vibrancy in your continued service. My question is about association and how one expresses their bhakti practice in their day-to-day interactions. Good question, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Great
you know,
question.
you're walking around the world and people want to know what's going on over there. Ever since I first met devotees and started engaging in the bhakti practice, vibrant devotee association has been a normal part of my everyday life. Since I think he lived in Denver, right?
Okay.
Bhakti Hugo, I think, if I'm correct.
They have a happening Krishna
They do.
Bhakti.
They're all like
scene
wisdom
in
and
Denver.
sages people, yeah. But now he's in South Carolina. Since the start of my bhakti path, with increasingly intimate integration into the devotee community, the majority of my interactions with others have become centered around bhakti and Krishna. However, I recently graduated university and moved to Charleston, South Carolina, leaving my home devotee community in order to start my career. Seeing as how I am presently starting out my career, I am now working closely with non-devotees for many hours each day. It's a new challenge, right?
Mm.
Naturally, because we spend so much time in close association, it often happens that someone will notice my bhakti practice and ask about it. What are those beads?
What are those
Okay.
beads?
What are
What are
you
you doing?
mumbling?
What's your hand? Why you got a broken hand? Why is your hand in that colorful bag? What do you got in there? A bunch of marbles?
Did you
What's
hurt
on your
yourself?
forehead? What is that, mustard on your forehead?
Okay.
I've had all those questions.
Okay. So he says, of course, I'm always brimming with enthusiasm to share my experience of bhakti with others. But one thing I've noticed is that it can be hard to communicate the practice to those who have no frame of reference for it.
Sure.
Right? Okay. For example, I've been asked about my faith or denomination before. First of all, I'm not fond of the framing of that question. If I am to belong to a particular faith, then that often implies that I take inspiration from that faith and not others. But the fact is that I'm happy to be inspired by any wisdom tradition that can contribute to my growth. Okay, we're getting to the question soon. If I do answer the question of faith or religion and want to do so accurately, then I can say that I align with Krishna Bhakti or Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But that complicates the conversation because no one has ever heard of these terms before. True. I can, of course, start to elaborate on them, but that can quickly bog down the conversation by confusing the other persons or giving them a more intricate response than they bargained for.
I
So
totally
he seems
get
to.
this question.
He's
I
thought-
totally get this question. Yeah.
Alternatively, I could answer something along the lines of, quote, I identify as a servant of God, unquote. But such a non-sectarian answer masks the deep loyalty and conviction I have to the specific path of Gaudiya Bhakti. I can say that I practice Bhakti Yoga, but that leads to confusion because all kinds of misconceptions and confusions about what yoga means. I can say that I practice Hinduism just for the sake of simplifying things, but then I feel dishonest with myself because of how much this waters down and misrepresents my bhakti practice. I could say more, but I think that this example provides a fairly good illustration of the kind of complexities that come up when I start a conversation about bhakti with those outside of the devotional circle, especially in the context of the workplace. My question is this. Do you have guidance on how a person engaging in bhakti can explain or express their practices to others who are oblivious to it with accuracy and sincerity, while simultaneously not pushing those others away or bogging them down with details, corrections, or intricacies? How does one authentically express their bhakti practice while at the same time addressing common misconceptions and misunderstandings in a tactful way? Rogo, you are known for your tact.
Am I?
Yes. You
What?
are.
Did you see Mary make that face? She was
No,
like,
I was being
whoa, whoa. She sucked her chin into her throat. and then scrunched up her face like a medjool date. That's a great question. I'd never go, well, I'm a Gaudiya Vaishnava. I never go into some first of all, I like to zoom way out when I talk to people, and they say, because people like to put you in a box. They like to try to have you figure it out. I don't even go by the thing. If someone would say, are you a Hare Krishna? I don't even go there, because they already generally have a preconception of what a Hare Krishna is. And so I like to
deny it?
strip it way down. I say, I'm a spirit soul. That's what I say. I like to, because in the biggest sense of what I am, I say, I follow the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, and it teaches that I'm a spirit soul and that every living being is a spirit soul. It's one of these things. It's like, am I in an elevator? Do I have like 30 seconds to explain what I am? Or is this person my like new roommate for the semester? It depends how long this conversation is going to go on for.
Raghu, that's important that you say that, because I once read an article written by a Bhakti yogi it was answering the question, am I a Hindu?
Yeah.
And the article started, well, do we have a short amount of time or a long amount of time? Because it'll be yes if it's one, and it'll be no if it's the other,
Yeah. And it's one of these things. I like to say, when people say, what are you? I say, I follow these teachings of ancient India. They're very inclusive. We believe all beings are spirit souls, and that we're here to try to reconnect with our source. That's the most simple, general way I'll say it. And that way they can't attach any preconceived notion to that. And they'll say, well, how do you do that? Well, we do it through a type of mantra meditation, through singing, through our daily activities, etc. You can go more and more detail. The last thing I'm going to pop off is a very exclusive, unique niche branch of, Indian culture, Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It's just going to isolate them. And if we're trying to be inclusive, we got to zoom way out. And then, of course, as a person wants to refine their, first of all, they may not, it's not like they're asking me because they want to be what I am. Perhaps, maybe they just want to know what I'm into.
Maybe they do want to be what you are.
Maybe they do. In that case, I say, follow me around. I'll tell you everything I do. No, but there are people that want to do, hey, how do you do what you do? That's okay. Well, try this. And even that, I'm very, very, I give a very broad understanding that they can relate to. Here, chant this mantra. It's like calling divinity into your life.
So it seems
you like some divinity in your life today? Yeah, try this mantra.
So it sounds almost like the essence of what you're sharing with Bhakti Hugo is that there's got to be a little detachment from like, I'm not going to be able to communicate everything to this person. So accept that right from the get-go, right? Yeah. And then share something that'll be the most, it's kind of like, I've once learned like one thing that they tell people that are like being interviewed, like if you're a person that gets interviewed a lot for the news and so on, and you see people do this all the time, particularly politicians.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like they're going to ask you what they want to ask you, but you're going to respond the way that with what you want them to get.
What you want them to walk away with. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think in this case it's like dishonest. Like a politician will do like, can you tell us about, like healthcare? Well, healthcare is really important. And also is completely like change. Right. I'm not saying do it like that, but I'm saying like they may have a conception of what they may be looking for a label, and you don't necessarily have to give them the label. You can give them what you think will answer their question in a more essential way. Like you're asking me who I am and what I'm about and what my spiritual practice is about. So I'm going to frame it the way that I want to frame it so that I think you'll understand it best. And you're a little detached. Like I'm not going to give them the whole thing. They're not going to walk away understanding everything, but maybe they'll walk away intrigued.
Excuse me. Yeah. Walk away intrigued, or else you're going to, otherwise, if I feed into their preconceptions, they're going to like mentally deplatform me. You know what I mean? Okay. Right. Got you figured out. You're filed in this little tiny filing cabinet up on the shelf. Don't want to be like him. But if you say it in the most inclusive, broad-minded way, yeah, we're trying to develop love for our source. We believe in a spiritual higher power, and it goes by different names for different cultures, and we respect that everybody's on a path towards either light or darkness, or
maybe you share that there's like a source of text that this comes from. Do you go there?
Yeah, maybe? The ancient texts of India.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Boom.
That gives you context. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm not, and I'm in no way evading the question. I just don't want to be scripted before they understand. Sometimes we talk to people, and we're almost have to explain ourselves out of like a negative numbers just to get to a evening playing field, because they've already got some idea of what you are from some twisted, biased piece of media that they heard.
What if you can feel that that's not the case? It's like real, genuine.
I still would.
interest.
I would still say these things. Yeah, we believe. If I have 5 minutes or 3 minutes, I'd say, we believe that God has unlimited names. One name is Krishna. That's the name. The Bhagavad Gita is the Bible of the East, something like that. But it teaches that, it teaches that everybody is spirit, no matter what religion you are. Truthfully, it was like the way it was explained to me by Harley Flanagan, who, by the way, we got to get on the show for interview day.
All right. From Bhakti Hugo's question, I get the feeling like he's really perceptive. Like he's covered all the bases on this, right? He broke the thing down in such detail. So it's not like some people have different kind of minds. Like some people would just answer with a cookie cutter answer and not even be thinking about how it's being received, right? Bhakti Hugo is definitely not like that. He's definitely like conscious of how his message is being received. And it sounds to me like maybe the most essential part is just like, but when he said like, I'm brimming with enthusiasm to share, like, maybe he just needs a little detachment from like, you're not going to be able to share everything. So choose carefully what you share and cater it to the individual that you're speaking to. That you think it'll give them the best understanding. And that's kind of the joy in communication in one sense, like just kind of like, you freestyle,
Yeah, I like that. All right. I think we can sneak another one in here.
Do one more? Okay,
we're a little over, but we're going a little over today.
We're a little over today.
It's okay. This is from a...
This is also this is our second one from Aaron. Yeah. Two from
he
Aaron.
gets two?
He gets two.
Who does he think he is? This is Aaron Erskine, the Zother. Anyway, he's on the show a lot. He's allowed 2 questions.
Yeah.
My career as a guitarist. Oh, by the way, Mara, someone asked on the message board, how do you get on the Discord thread? Because a lot of people are writing in from Discord.
Yeah, I sent her instructions privately.
Can we explain it easily or no?
It's for Patreon members.
Okay, so if you want to support the podcast, this is a community supported podcast, and we really appreciate everyone that supports us through patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. Then we have this like very massive Discord thread that people write in on.
I think we have almost 800 people in our Discord community.
Oh wow! So is there an easy way to tell them how to get on it?
No.
Over the air? There's no easy way.
Right.
Okay, yeah. You jump through many hoops. We can make sure you're very qualified before you get on. But anyway, this is a Zother. A Zother is a person who's occasionally on Zoom and occasionally just listens to the podcast, roaming around the streets of London. And we call them Zothers. My career as a guitarist in a post-hardcore band back in the early 00s. Isn't that funny, the 00s?
What do you call it? The early 2000s?
The early thousands, the early 2000s, I guess.
I don't know. Never figured that out. 20 years have gone by. I haven't figured that one out.
I still haven't figured it out. Oh, man.
Okay. Any case.
Just thinking about.
Let's not get tripped up on
this.
I'm
just thinking about dial telephones and how. Okay. Was my career as a guitarist in a post-hardcore band back in the early 2000s was never successful. So I trained to be a financial planner. Yeah. He had a plan B. In case that didn't work out. I am very fortunate that I get to run a business in the UK. I have a great business partner and amazing people to work with us. We're also grateful to be able to help our wonderful clients. Our business is a secular business, and I value the association with my colleagues, especially the service we provide clients. I'm comfortable that we aim to truly serve our clients by helping them link finance to their purposeful life. I feel like he's ready to pitch his business to our public now. I am a white belt trainee beginner on the path of Bhakti. I like how he put that.
White belt is first.
I chant japa. Huh?
White belt is first.
White belt is first, yeah. I chant japa and I read daily as well as being a Zoomer. My question is that should I consider when it comes to maintaining my business and practicing a spiritual life? Wait, my question is, what should I consider when it comes to maintaining my business and practicing my spiritual life? I understand that running my business is my dharma. So keen to take your valuable guidance. With gratitude and appreciation for the caring service you provide, it's been the catalyst to a life-changing journey. So did you get the question out of there?
I think I did. In other words, he's running a business. He wants to run a good business. He wants to help his clients, but also he wants it to be part of his spiritual life. So what does he need to consider in that context, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a really, really, really important question. It's a great question. And, you know, the Bhagavad Gita does so much to just help us understand this. Bhagavad Gita, you know, when I was scripting all these courses and everything, you know, it just gave me a chance to think about things and express it in a different way and think about it more deeply, you know? And it's like there's within Vedic teachings, within, you know, the broad yoga culture that goes way, 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 way back, you know, there's a tension that's brought up, you know, because you get the 4 Vedas and they're talking about how to be very dharmic in the sense of how to be a really good person so that you'll get really good karma, you know? Like how to live a healthy, pure, responsible life so that you'll get all good things coming back at you and you can be happy in the material world. And then there's a tension with that. There's a certain truth in there that's important for us. If someone deeply embraces that, then they're probably like a better person than most people out there, you know? But then there's a tension that comes up in the latter books, like the Upanishads, that say, you know what? This world is illusory, and even good karma is bad in the sense that, you know, it's just like creating a bank account that you spend again, and you know, you're enjoying something that's external to yourself, and you're never coming in touch with your true nature, which is beyond all that and has so much more potential. So let go of the things of this world and even the responsibilities of this world and walk away from it and become free. You know, so there's that tension. What the Bhagavad Gita does was it found a perfect synthesis between the two. It says you can live in this world and you can be responsible and dharmic, and you can do it in such a way where it doesn't bind you but it liberates you, becomes a path of yoga. And that's called karma yoga. And really bhakti yoga is part of that too. I won't get into the technicalities of that. But in other words, the Bhagavad Gita says there's 2 ways to practice yoga. One is where you withdraw from all your social responsibilities as a path of yoga, and the other is that you embrace your social responsibilities as a path of yoga, which to some people sounds like almost like to Arjuna, he couldn't quite get it. Really? I thought yoga meant you walk away.
You want me to work more?
Yeah, right. You want me
to give up everything?
Yeah, I wanted to give up the work. And so here's a great example. I think he said it's his own business, right? He started his own business.
Got a partner, likes his partner.
Okay, so it's great that like it's easy. I think it's all the easier when it's your own business, right? At least in one sense, it can be easier that way, and you're helping people, so that's a good thing. But it's not. You see, in the 12th chapter of the Gita, Krishna just goes down a list of it's kind of like a ladder of where the yogi can be. Or the first thing he says is just think of me always, right? Like just within yourself, think of me, abide in me, trust in me, give your heart to me. That's where everything's meant to go, right? That's where we're meant to be as bhakti yogis. We are all a spark of spiritual energy and now we're talking sambandha, right? Relationship. And we have a loving relationship with God that we've become out of touch with. Reestablish that loving relationship. Just in a sense, Krishna is just saying, just love me. You know, when you love someone, you bring your mind to them. Your mind becomes absorbed in them. So he's saying, just absorb your mind in me always. But what if I can't do that? What if my mind is distracted? You know, what if I wish I was loving God and thinking of God at every moment, but I find my mind is all over the place? Then he says, well, then practice bhakti, right? Then there are regulations and there are practices like reading Bhagavatam daily, like chanting, you know, maha mantra daily. Like practice these things. You know, and this way it'll bring your mind to me, right? It's a practice of bringing your mind to me. What if I can't do that? What if I have trouble doing that? What if I can't regulate myself? What if I, due to my social situation, I have trouble doing that? What if, he says, then you can work for me, okay? And that means that whatever, in other words, rather than sitting silently and meditating or sitting in an ashram and doing devotional practices, you can in other words, a lot of people find it hard keeping internally connected, keeping their mind engaged on a topic while sitting, you know, in solitude. Krishna says you don't have to do that. You can get your body engaged, and by getting your body engaged, you'll get your mind engaged. That means go out and work in the world, but work for me, right?
That's what Mara's doing.
That's
She's
what
like
Mara's
living
doing.
that right now.
Well,
We're not
she
paying
is
her top dollar for this.
Well, you see, that's the thing, because someone like Mara, she's cooking, but when she's cooking, she's saying, I'm doing this for God, right? And the whole day.
I was thinking about for Wisdom of the Sages.
What about Wisdom of the Sages?
She does all this work for Wisdom of the Sages.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
So in that way, Mara's whole life, it can all be stimulus for thinking of Krishna. It's all like fodder for thought of Krishna, like throughout the day. But then he says, some people might say, well, you know what? I try to do that, but really I have trouble. I'm working and I'm not thinking of God. Then Krishna says, then take the fruits of the work and make that an offering to me, right? So like, in other words, just take the money, what you get from it, and engage. This way, when you're working, you're connecting yourself to God, because you're not working for yourself. You're working to serve. So right between those two is an interesting thing, right? Like, I guess what I'm getting to with Aaron is, Aaron, at the very least, you can make an offering to God of your work in the terms of you take the fruits and you make an offering of it, right? And in one sense, even that is like in caring for your family, right? Part of that is for caring for your family. Like, if you see your family as your responsibility, your dharma to God to care for them, then the money that you spend in caring for your family is an offering to God. And then what you have left over, ideally you engage it in ways that it's in the service of God. And that's very good. And you can take it to a higher level when you're thinking of God as you work, when you see everything that you're doing in connection to God. And that can be done like in many ways. But imagine like this, like just think like this, right? Aaron goes to work one day and a client comes in, and the client is being uncooperative, right? Or let's say problematic in some way. Let's say that it's just being like a complete jerk, right? And imagine, occasionally, he may get a client like that. Someone that's arrogant, someone that's rude, someone that's making life less pleasant for him. Now, right there, where most people respond by saying, well, you know what, jerk face, why don't you just get up and get out of my office, because I don't need you and I don't need people like you. As a matter of fact, I can't stand you. Get out, right? Like
Jerk face.
And now if that were Aaron, I'm not saying Aaron would ever do it. Now Aaron has a mind full of hostility, right? A mind full of it's like you're carrying a weight around you that makes it impossible for you to focus your mind on God, right? You don't have that peace of mind that's required for absorption. But what if Aaron reads Bhagavad Gita in the morning, right? And so when he goes to work, he knows, I'm going to face challenges today. Some things may be pleasant. Some real pleasant things may come up during the day. Some unpleasant things may come. I know that's the way this world works, right? Because I read my Bhagavad Gita.
How am I going to react to that?
Yeah, it's like I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm not hoping. I hope everything goes well today. That's the way the materialist thinks. The person that's reading Bhagavad Gita and thinking of Krishna, they say, I know how the world works. It's good and bad. It's a mixture of good and bad. I'm ready for it. And so
you're saying, apply all these values and sentiments that we're studying. Okay.
Well, yeah. In other words, like if you read, as you get to the end of the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, he speaks of the qualities that makes one dear to him. Someone who's even-minded and happy, whether something pleasurable is happening or something unpleasurable, they keep an even mind. Someone who never puts someone else into difficulty, right? Krishna's saying that person is very dear to me. So what now Aaron is thinking, even though the person just responded to me that way, I was expecting, right? It wasn't like, this is outrageous. Why am I being treated this way? I'm fighting back. Rather, he's thinking, this is my karma, right? I'm being treated this way because I've done something in the past to earn this, and it's coming back at me right now in the form of this person. But I know that this person is a spark of pure spiritual energy, just like I am, because I got, what do you call it? Samadarshana, right? I'm seeing equally.
Vision.
Yeah,
hey,
I can
Kosuma,
see.
what are those verses? 12th chapter. Those who are
13
dear
through
to Krishna.
20. 13 through 20.
Listen to that guy. He's 13 through 20.
13 through 20.
Just nails it, whips them off. These are great
It's a short
verses to
chapter.
study.
Yeah.
13 through 20, last verses of the 12th chapter. Who is dear to Krishna? How do you become dear to God?
So this is the way at work you're endearing yourself to God, right? In other words, you're saying, okay, I'm not. First of all, I got I have what they call samatvam, even-mindedness. Whether this is pleasant or unpleasant, I'm even-minded. I got samadarshana, right? I recognize even though this person seems like a jerk face, I know that deep down, their jerk faceness is simply impressions that are in their mind. But underneath that mind is someone just like me, right? Someone that's made of God's energy. And so I'm going to relate to that spark of spiritual energy, not to the jerk faciness that's being manifest, which is just my own karma coming back at me. And so even that they're coming at me with being like mean, I'm going to return it with kindness, right? I'm going to return it with kindness, and I'm going to keep it cool. Now you're not just giving the fruits at the end of the day. Like I don't think of Krishna all day and then I give the fruits at the end of the day. Now you're thinking of Krishna as you're going through your entire day. Now your entire job, your entire day at work has become an offering. Your entire day at work has become part of your practice. So Aaron's asking, what should I keep in mind as I'm doing, with my business and with my work? One thing I would say is, as much as possible, make an offering of the fruits of your work to God. But beyond that, make your entire day a meditation and part of your bhakti practice by keeping in mind samatvam, keeping an even mind, samadarshana, seeing the equality of every living being and relating to every living being as a soul. And I would always throw in that last, I call these for me, these three are the three real important qualities of the sadhu. Antasukha, that my happiness is something that's within me. It's not something that I'm going to get through my work. It's not something I'm going to get through the money that I make through work. It's something that I need to uncover within. And so practice, in the mornings and in the evenings, read and hear Bhagavatam with us. And then apply it throughout the day by keeping an even mind, by seeing every living being as equally, and by the repeated reflection on the idea that my happiness is something within me that comes out. It's not something that I get from anything external. I'm not working to try to get external happiness. I'm working as an offering, and I'm practicing living in the way that Krishna wants me to live. One, because it endears me to him, and two, because it gives me the kind of mind that's fertile for absorption and thought of Krishna, and that even mind. And so take that into your workplace, and now your work becomes yoga, bhakti yoga.
Love it. Your lotus face to me, Kaustubh. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you,
Mr.
Lotus.
You and your lotus face. All right, that's the show, my friend.
It? Okay, that's it. We're back.
We are back. It's good to be back, and that's it. Again, thanks everybody.
So we're back at 6 tomorrow, right?
This show flowed, and we're Monday through Friday. We're here at 6:00. Please join us. Saturday, if you're new to this, we have a Q&A day. This usually takes place on Saturday. Sunday is guest day, and I'm going to put out the feelers for Harley Flanagan, and and the Wisdom of the Sages Italy is happening, and I'm going to India. My pilgrimage, it's almost filled up in India. October 23rd till November 5th. Join me for a pilgrimage in India. We're going to all holy places, including Jagannath Puri, Matt Godden's favorite place.
And everyone, Urban Davy at 11:30 till 1 today. Not everyone, ladies. For the ladies.
Ladies, yeah.
About witches.
Witches. And I'm starting a men's warlock group. Miss Bhakti Yogas and warlocks can join. And it's men only. Those who identify as men can show up. A little bit more liberal. You're a man, Tarun. You can come. And we're going to talk about mysticism and UFOs.
Warlock. A warlock circle.
Yes. Also, if you're listening and you like what we're doing here, go to Apple Podcasts. Write us a review on Apple Podcasts. We like to read them, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here.
It's kind of dried up. We need people to actually do it.
Yeah, we got to do it. You got to do that, people. You got to go to Apple Podcasts, and there's a place to write a review. And what else, Mara?
Something else?
I'm still.
We
I was up at one.
Some dancing.
No one's dancing anymore. People are like a little. Everyone's jet lagged, Kaustubh. I was up at 1:00 in the morning, like.